Ababu Namwamba ambaye leo hii amefika katika kikao cha pamoja cha bunge kuhojiwa kuhusu baadhi ya masuala mbalimbali yakiwemo haswa fedha na vile jinsi ambavyo afisi yake imekuwa ikitumia mamlaka mbalimbali. Kwa hivyo muda si kitambo labda tutakuwa namkaribisha hapa, tutakuwa nazungumza pamoja na vyombo vya habari.
Waziri, umesema hutajiuzulu na huna sababu ya kujiuzulu.
Bila shaka hakuna sababu ya kujiuzulu, na vile nimesema, kama kuna waziri anayechapa kazi vilivyo ni mimi, kama kuna zawadi ya waziri mchapa kazi ni mimi. Lakini nitasema ya kwamba imekuwa fursa bora ya kuweza kuzungumzana na waheshimiwa wabunge na kuweza kupata hisia zao. Hisia muhimu zaidi ambayo ninaweza sema nimeona leo kwenye kikao hiki ni kwamba waheshimiwa wabunge wangependa kuhusishwa zaidi katika shughuli za tunazofanya, shughuli za talanta hela, ili wahusike zaidi, na hilo ni swala ambalo tunaweza shughulikia bila shaka.
Yeah. Na kuna baadhi ya watu ambao wanadhana kwamba wewe unaandamwa pengine kisiasa.
Would you say this is a witch hunt?
Now, they say even the devil knows not what goes on in a man's mind. All I can deal with is what I see, and it is always a good opportunity to come to Parliament. I'm not a stranger to Parliament. I spent 10 years in this Parliament. I'm not a stranger, or I'm not entirely new here. Of course, right now I'm a stranger. But all I can say is that I would want this kind of engagements more of this kind of engagements, because it gives opportunity to share information. It gives opportunity to clarify issues. One of the issues I've seen, for instance, is that we need members of Parliament to get to know more about the work of federations, to get to be more involved in the agenda we have to improve the whole management of sports with better run, better managed federations. This interaction also helps us to reinforce the reality that sports funding in this country is still very low. The sports fund, for instance, is supposed to support sports, but it supports so many other things. So this interaction is good. I wouldn't call this a witch hunt. I would call it a useful interaction, and there should be more of this kind.
Yeah. Sorry, Waziri. Some of the accusations were personal, touching to your private life.
Like what?
What Cheryl Gay was talking about, carrying girlfriends and all that, not directly implying to you and all that.
Yes.
I don't know how you do it. And the second part of the questions, some of them were touching on the federations. So in the two questions, was it worth coming here? Because it seems like it's more of a witch hunt. You don't participate in any purchase of boots and outfits. You don't select teams.
But that's why I'm saying exactly that with this kind of interaction, you build a better understanding. And I believe it's a good opportunity for members of Parliament to also get a chance to interrogate how the whole sporting scene is managed. And I'll be very happy with members of Parliament becoming more involved in the revamp of federations, because Parliament is key. This is the law-making institution. Parliament, as the legislative arm of government, is a budgeting wing. When we want to amend the Sports Act, and we have started the process of reviewing the Sports Act, you want to change the regulations. You good people from the media, of course, know, for instance, that the sports fund funds so many things. Sports fund funds health. Sports funds culture. Sports fund funds programs of education. We give money for relief food, for instance. Yet the ministry does not really have much leverage in terms of resources. So if you crowd out these funds, you are definitely reducing what we could use on sports and the creatives. And it's good for members of Parliament to interact and get a good understanding of that. So I believe this is a good thing. And on questions that are uttered outside the presence of Parliament, the reason why I'm happy that I got a chance to come to interact with members of Parliament is that then you can be asked questions in a formal setting. But when utterances are made, for instance, if you make utterances that Ababu is in Budapest, but Ababu is in Nairobi, then it becomes difficult for Ababu to answer you. By coming here, I'm able to tell you that I'm actually not in Budapest. Okay? And unless you are saying it is my PS who has carried baggage to Budapest, and I know he hasn't. And the PS has been accompanied by only one officer, our director for sports. In fact, we are one ministry that has really implemented the austerity measures on travel. I must be the least traveled minister, the least traveled cabinet secretary. I have not been to any of we have had some major events. We have had the cross-country championships in Bathurst, in Bathurst in Australia. We have had major events. We have just had our Youth Olympics in Trinidad and Tobago. We have had events in Dar es Salaam, in Lusaka. We now have a team in Budapest. I have really not accompanied any of these teams, not because that I wouldn't want to, but we really make effort to limit spending. And I believe that the money you would have spent on Ababu to travel to Budapest, you can spend that money giving it to our athletes or giving it to our legends, like we did during the Hongera Awards. So I believe we are using resources very prudently. Yeah.
How many officials made it to Budapest?
From the ministry, just 2 officials. The PS and our director for sports are in Budapest. But you know that federations also do carry officials. Like Athletics Kenya has officials. Parliament also does send officials. Like the chairman of the sports committee of the National Assembly is also in Budapest, but in his capacity as chairman of the sports committee in the National Assembly. So different interests have different delegations, but our delegations is normally very lean. To this event we were discussing with the Special Olympics, we had only 2. The CEO of the Sports Academy and the acting director of sports, who were in Berlin for the event. Yes.
If I may ask, I'm coming on the background of a person who covers athletics, and I have a little bit know-how about athletics and all the issues about contract, the Nike, the Adidas, and all that.
Yes.
For me, from where I sit, I think it was like a alignment. They wanted to align your name as something else, or it was a scripted. People who sat somewhere and then they came up with a script with no tangible evidence. Because for me, I understand if an athlete puts on a fake Adidas and goes to the pitch of play to earn, you are liable to be sued with Adidas. So we understand the issues about contract, because when you see a whole deputy speaker coming with photos that we can't verify from the sources that she brought or she took from, and then she's talking about the issues of contract, whereas as a person, I know the only people who kit the national team is Nike. Do you think you are being targeted? Is there an agenda to push you out of this ministry?
You know that every cabinet secretary serves at the pleasure of the appointing authority. And so, if the appointing authority decided that you vacate office, then he will inform you, then you'll vacate office. We hold these offices at the pleasure of the appointing authority. But on the question of which hand or no which hand, maligning or no maligning, all I can say is that if you make an accusation, it is good you give the accused the opportunity to respond. On the question of cheating, it is good that today Kenyans know, and it has come out very clearly, that kitting of our national teams is controlled in a very clear, very structured manner under a contract between Athletics Kenya, National Olympics Committee of Kenya, and Nike. And as I said on the floor of Parliament, that is an area that touches on intellectual property. That is an area that touches on copyright. So if you are going to use Nike kit that is fake, it has some very serious implications. I have flagged off countless teams. You guys have been with me. The members of the Fourth Estate, you've been with me countless times. Just recently, I flagged off the team going to Tunisia. This team, we were being told, wore fake Adidas. I flagged it off at Western Hotel. Our team going to the African Beach Games in Tunis. They were wearing our, is it called a honeycomb? Yeah. The design? Yeah. The honeycomb Nike uniform. Complete. The kit, the uniform, all the way with the shoes. Okay? Nike. I flagged off the team going to Trinidad and Tobago, myself, at our offices, Nike kitted. I flagged off the World Athletics Championship team going to Budapest. And normally I take photos with all these teams, Nike kitted. And so I have actually not interacted with any Kenya national team kitted by Adidas. I haven't. If there is any kitted by Adidas, then the ministry is not aware. And for those kitted by Nike, it is Nike that sends the kit. Even for me, if they are to give me a piece of the kit, then it must come from Nike. We don't have the leverage of reproducing that kit here. We don't. Yes. Asanteni sana.
Asante mheshimiwa.
Okay.
Hatima ya waziri wa michezo Ababu Namwamba ipo mikononi mwa bunge la kitaifa ambalo litakuwa linampiga msasa na kujua mwisho wa siku iwapo atastahimili mawimbi haya ama yatamramba. Nikiripotia Mo Radio kutoka katika majengo ya bunge jijini Nairobi, jina langu ni Ronnie Reagan.
Mo Radio 88.2 FM. We are in charge.